Back once again with another great guest, Coach Jabari Trotter. Coach Jabari Trotter, fantastic assistant Division I coach at Dartmouth University, out in the Ivy League, high academic school, great program. I've known Jabari since he was in high school. Fantastic player, Harvard Westlake. Went on to play at Dartmouth. I'll let him talk about his journey in a minute, but I know went on to play at Dartmouth overseas, got into coaching, and is absolutely a future star in the coaching world. So very blessed to have you, Coach Trotter, with us. Appreciate you joining us. And I'd like to give you a couple minutes just to talk about your journey in the hoop game.
Absolutely. Mike, Jeremy, appreciate you guys for having me. Yeah, really excited. Just a little bit about myself. Yeah, born and raised in Los Angeles area. Like Coach Teller said, went to Harvard Westlake high school, Pasadena Poly for 1 year, then transferred to Harvard Westlake.
The tough transfer for Poly. That's a tough transfer for
yeah.
Poly.
Yeah, the head coach at Notre Dame right now, Matt Sargent, he was a couple years above me, and he transferred from Pasadena Poly and went to Ocean View.
Orange County, right? Then he went down, right? He went south.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then Hollis Thompson,
yeah,
a grade or two below me, transferred from Pasadena Poly, went to Loyola, had a great career, and
played Georgetown,
and
NBA for 3 or 4 years. Yeah,
so Pasadena Poly knew how to groom him.
They just need to keep him, man.
Yeah, couldn't keep him. But Harvard Westlake for 3 years, and had a really good career there. And then I actually did a postgraduate year at Phillips Exeter Academy in New Hampshire, and I know there's been some BTI kids kind of rolling through there and having good careers in college right now currently. And then I went to Dartmouth and started all 4 years and had a really good career here. Super blessed to get that opportunity. LA to Hanover, New Hampshire was the transition I wanted to have, and the experience was really good for me.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Played overseas for a couple of years. Played a little bit in England, a little bit in Ireland. And then came back to the States and knew coaching was what I wanted to do. So I had 1 year at Exeter, back at Exeter, working in the admissions department, and was an assistant coach for one of my biggest mentors, Jay Tilton, guy I played for at Exeter. Yep. And then went and worked on Brett Reed's staff at Lehigh as a Dobo for 1 year. And then the current head coach now at Dartmouth got hired at Dartmouth, Dave McLaughlin. So I worked with him. I was on his first staff for the first 2 years, trying to turn this program around. And it was great to come back to this area and try to get the program, jump started in the right way and his vision. Left for 3 years to the University of Hawaii. So much different climate.
Went from New Hampshire to Hawaii, man.
Exactly. I used to say from one island to another. So, I was in the Big West for 3 years and really grew as a coach under Aron Ganot, and had a good experience there. Had some very good teams, coached some all league players, recruited some guys that are doing their thing right now, which is really great. And then Coach McLaughlin found me at the end of this past season and had an opportunity for me to come back to the alma mater and kind of see how the program had grown, and for me to get a chance to coach some of the players that I recruited, which was pretty cool. I recruited 3 or 4 guys and never got a chance to coach them. Took off for Hawaii once that happened, and so now they're juniors and seniors, so getting to coach them, and now I'm back, man. Now I'm back in the third stint in Hanover, and
that's awesome.
Third total year coaching.
That's awesome.
Where'd you play out in England, Jabari?
I played in the BBL for I would say a month and a half.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. I know a couple dudes. I know. You guys remember? You remember Troy Baugh, Mike?
I was literally just about to say. So I that's my cousin. That's my cousin. So
that's right. I did know that.
Because
that's right.
Right when I was going to make my overseas transition as well, I went to go stay in England with him. And ended up playing over there for a little bit as well. But
was he Newcastle?
He was at Newcastle. He was studying at Newcastle, exactly.
So Troy and I go back way back, man.
Really?
Okay.
I'm talking like we hooped together when we were like 11, 12.
Yeah, that's awesome.
When we get off the call, I'll get your number. I'll send you a pretty funny picture.
Okay.
Me and
that's
him.
awesome.
Cool.
But yeah, so I actually linked up with him. He actually had a kid or two come to our elite camp this past summer. So I linked up with him, and then I saw him a bunch this summer. I know he's really trying to get that coaching career jumped off. great dude. So
yep.
I'm always in his corner.
That's love.
That's awesome. Didn't even know you guys had that connection. That's
awesome.
awesome.
Yeah. Troy and I go way back. Way back.
That's crazy. Yeah, for sure.
Yep.
All right, man. I'm gonna dive right in. So one question that I've been universally asking every single coach is your pet peeves. Certain things you're sitting in an AAU gym watching guys. Are there certain pet peeves that Coach Trotter has? It could be positives or negatives, things that stand out to you that you love and gravitate towards, or it could be something you see and that's an immediate cross off the list type deal. What are some of Coach Trotter's pet peeves?
Great question. Two things for me, man, are I coach, one thing that for student athletes to understand is to really get a chance to know the guys that are recruiting them, especially if they played, because more times than not, the coaches, excuse me, who are recruiting them are going to look for guys that have some similar traits to them, right? So I love playing hard, playing defense, talking, really trying to rally my guys anytime I stepped on the court. It was a war to me every single time. So for me, one of the biggest things is just playing hard. And I think the kids these days are so talented, man. They're putting in a lot of time into the gym. They're working on moves that, there's no way I was making when I was their age. And
skill training is slightly evolved.
Exactly. Yes. That's a testament to you guys and what you guys put into your work and into your craft. But playing hard is not, it's non-negotiable. That's kind of like the prerequisite to being really good. So if I see a kid who's not playing hard, he's not trying to lead his team by example, because not everyone's going to lead with their voice. There are different types of leaders out there, but if he's not leading by example and he's not playing hard, and we've all been around basketball long enough to understand what that looks like, because there is fake hustle out there.
Yeah,
there are guys
that's one of my questions coming on later, man. You got it, man. Keep going. Yeah.
There are guys that play slower than others, and that's okay. But we, as coaches, we're kind of trained to find the guys that are playing hard. So that's a big one for me. And then the second one, again, in a similar boat, I hate watching kids take shots or do things on the court that it's very clear that they haven't practiced, they haven't tried. In a one-on-one or whatever, in any type of practice setting. Because to me, that's a selfish play. You want to stick to your strengths. You want to work on your weaknesses. But in the game, in the heat of the moment, again, I'm a big, it's wartime when you step in between those four lines, and that's not the time to try new things. And again, as coaches, we're pretty well adept and trained to see moves and things that guys are trying on the court for the first or second time, right? So for me, watching them 3 or 4 times and clearly seeing things that they're not working on, and clearly seeing a lack of effort, a lack of leadership, lack of talk, I go straight to our boss and I just say, whether he's good enough or talented enough or not, I don't know if that's the guy that's going to fit into our program. And at the college level, it's really, really about fit. It's about talent for sure. Your ability to do certain things for the squad, but your fit has to be high level. And if it's not, then it's not going to work out. It doesn't matter how good you are.
That's awesome. I'm gonna pick that apart a little bit in the realm of character. I'm gonna dive right into character because that's also been a monster topic. Every coach bringing up how much that matters. Now, like you said, every player's so talented. Shoot it, handle it. That character is now almost seems like more important than it even was. I mean, it's always been important, but because guys are so good, that actually becomes a major separator in determining which talent you're trying to bring to your school and which talent you're not. So like you had sort of touched on, how do you tell if you're seeing a show, some fake character because they know you're in the gym as opposed to the real deal, like that's really in his heart?
Yeah, I mean, I think for us, man, first of all, it starts with the AAU coaches. I think we have great relationships and with some of these guys, and we spend time with that on the phone, in person, things like that. So we get a good sense. If I got a guy from BTI, I got a guy from West Coast Elite, whatever it is, telling me, hey, man, this guy's the real deal. I can kind of wade through what's real and what's not based off of what he says. Secondly, it may not look like we're watching, but we're watching everything. I'm telling you, like, you know, we might be on the phone a little bit. We might be talking to the guy next to us or whatever. But again, we're around basketball 24/7. So we can pick out little things here and there and recognize a kid's character pretty accurately. Maybe it takes us more than one game, but it doesn't take us many more than that to really find what a kid's truly about, right? And so I'm watching the in-betweens. I'm watching what you look like when you get a bad call on you. I'm watching
That's what I'm talking
like
about right now. Yes, yes. Go on.
I'm watching what you look like when coach is trying to coach you on something in live play, or when one of your teammates is trying to tell you something. Because if you're not reacting the right way, you know, that's something that hits my radar. And one thing that we preach here in our program is body language, right? I mean, that's another form of communication. So, you know, no cursing on the podcast, of course, but if you know, if I ask one of our players, hey man, like, would you go up to one of your teammates and F this and drop all of these curse words and stuff straight to his face? No, absolutely not. I love him. That's my brother. Like, I'm gonna talk to him in a different way. Okay. Because your body language is saying that. You know what I mean? So, and a lot of our guys look like, oh, okay, that's a really good point. So body language is huge for us. And again, I think we're pretty skilled and pretty well trained to try to find that. And that kind of gives you a quick little glimpse into a player's character.
In terms of characters, right? I mean, you hit on some good things too, right there. I'm curious to know, right? Do you say you go watch a kid, right? And right, they're young, right? So the emotions can get the best of them early, right? Are you giving that kid another chance, right? I mean, say you watch him one game and you're like, man, that body language isn't looking too good. Would you come back around maybe next day, maybe later that day? Are you giving that kid an extra chance, or is that type of character, is body language one of those things that's like, that's a non-negotiable for us, man? Because I really feel like body language it's contagious, right? Like when you have bad body language, man, everybody can feel it. Like from not only the coaches but your teammates. Like your teammates don't even want to be a part of that.
Right.
So I kind of want to know, how do you guys, you know, deal with that on the recruiting standpoint for a young guy who is very talented, or they might be that in between guy, and it's like, man, let's maybe we go check him out again. Maybe he might have a better balance with that, you know?
No doubt. And I think you brought up a really good point, because there is wiggle room, right? We're all human, we all make mistakes, so there is wiggle room. But I will say this, man, if you're an upperclassman, man, and you're going into your last summer, or your seniors playing in a senior showcase and things like that, obviously your wiggle room goes way, way, way down, right? You're more mature. You're supposed to be more mature. You're supposed to be more of a leader. You're supposed to be, you know, you've gone through it, so you understand, as opposed to a young kid, who you know, might throw some tantrums out there. You know, the emotional intelligence isn't quite where it needs to be. The cerebral you know, thought process on the court isn't quite there. And then if that happens, and then, okay, look, I want to talk to you. I want to see you in practice. I want to see you in multiple games. And if I see growth, that's almost more impressive. You know what I mean? Like that's now I see, okay, great. So now when he hits some adversity, when I challenge him on something as I'm recruiting him, I see him actively working on that. And that's huge, because college basketball, you know, a lot of these kids see the top level guys, the burger boys, the 5-stars. And some of those dudes are so talented that some of their other mistakes can be washed away for a split second, not fully, but a split second. But college basketball is not full of those guys. College basketball is full of the grinders, the workers, the guys that are kind of in between the spotlight, if you will. And because of that, there's a lot of this. So if I can find a kid whose, you know, trajectory is looking like this in high school, now with our coaching, with our program, you know, with our mottos and the teammates that he's going to rock with, then if he can continue this, then that's a really good college basketball player. So that's what I'm looking for.
That's awesome. I think that's great for our listeners too, because right, the later you know that, I mean, along with the pressure, but the later you get in that high school career, that recruiting, you know, that in terms of your recruiting, you don't have,
clock is ticking, man.
You don't have the margin for error is even smaller now. You know what I mean? So,
and guess what, man? That's life.
100%.
You know, and 100%. We got to have that conversation with our guys all the time, man. Like, it is what it is. Playing time, it's life. Nothing is promised. Nothing is guaranteed. Like, that's what it is. And basketball is such a great sport, bro, because it's just, you know, it's fun, it's competitive, it's fast, it's up and down, there's slow parts, there's the cerebral parts to it, but it's also a great you know, it's a great motivator and a great sport that gives you so many life lessons. You know, you can
Yeah.
apply it to so many things outside of the four lines, outside the court. So I mean, the game is perfect, honestly.
Most definitely.
I love your point about how seeing a guy through his mistake, like seeing a guy have a mistake, whether it's emotionally, physically, whatever it is, and then seeing him another time and seeing that he's conquered it almost gives you more faith in a guy than maybe, because obviously everyone's human. Everyone's going to have, have some error, have some mistake. So proving to yourself, proving to anyone who's watching that, yeah, sure, I'm not perfect today, but I'm going to show you that tomorrow or the next tournament or the next weekend, I'm going to erase some of these mistakes. I'm going to add some of these pros. Like you said, that's something I try to teach guys too, that's something you internally can take with you for your whole life. Seeing yourself, like you said, life lessons, that seeing yourself through a mistake, seeing yourself overcome something is something that you can use for yourself for the rest, all the obstacles that are coming, all the obstacles that are coming. So I think that's awesome. And like you said, damn right, man, if you're freshman, sophomore, there's a little more time for you to make a mistake and show that you can come back from it than if you're a junior, senior. You better have corrected some of those already. You
better be quick, man. Yeah.
Awesome. I want to get into your brand of basketball. How would you describe Dartmouth's brand of hoop? Offense, defense, philosophies, that type of stuff.
I mean, everything. The most importantly, whether it's offense and defense, we do everything together, right? So everything is big team concept. We pride ourselves on very strong relationships. That starts in the recruiting process, and then that's all throughout your career once you get here. And a lot of those relationship building opportunities are off the court, to be honest with you. That's whether we're going to get something to eat. I'm talking to you just one-on-one about your life. I got a group of 3 or 4 guys that I'm hitting up. Let's go watch the Laker game. There's a couple of guys from SoCal. Let's get together. Let's do that. Because the tighter relationship that we have, the harder I can coach you on the floor. And the better you will respond, because at the end of the day, it's all love, right? Because I put in the time. So I am a firm believer that kids spell love TIME, right? You got to put in the time. So we do everything together. Defensively, we've made some mistakes this year, but I think we're just on a string. We have everyone's back. And again, that relationship piece comes into it, right? So if a guy is supposed to be there and help, I'm going to pressure the ball because I know he's going to be there. And if he's not there, then we're going to talk about it, the next possession, then we're going to be good. We're going to correct it. So high level communication. When we are not playing the defense that we're supposed to be playing, it's because our talk probably isn't where it needs to be. At this level, guys are extremely intelligent, especially in the Ivy League. So I know they understand the concepts. You just got to be a basketball player and talk yourselves through it. So defensively, that's what we're doing. We take pride one-on-one, and if you do get beat, we know every single rotation from every single angle on the court. And so we've had flashes of being an extremely good defensive team. Offensively, yeah, man. I mean, we try to get up and score quickly in transition if we can. We give some guys some freedom, but we also give them some structure as well. And then if not, then we got, some good sets. We run hard. It's all about sacrifice for us. So whether that's a screen or a cut and moving the ball, 0.5 mentality. So the ball is in my hands. If I can't dribble, pass, or shoot right away, it's kind of like that Spurs thing. I believe that's where we got it from Coach Pop. If I don't have that immediate read, I'm swinging it on and let that guy do it, So that, again, that's kind of that sacrifice mentality, knowing that selfishly, if I do things the right way, the ball will find me again. But either way, it's going to be the best positive output for the team. So everything I've kind of talked about already, I mean, you can wake me up in the middle of the night and ask me, hey, what's your motto? What do you guys believe in? Whatever. And I'm gonna wake up sleepy headed and it's got to be teamwork. It's got to be team. It's got to be together. That's always what it is. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, that's big time.
So you had brought up fit. You had brought that up too. So college basketball is absolutely a game of fit. I think there's different degrees as far as what a staff or a program will allow themselves to work with, as far as seeing a player that's super talented, maybe not be the best fit, but being like, what, we can mold them. So we'll grab that ultra talented kid and we'll try to mold him into our system, into our fit. What's what's your gauge on that as far as when you're recruiting? Are you solely looking for fit? Is there some, as you said, wiggle room as far as if you see a really talented kid who you think might be coachable, you're like, you know what, I think we can make him fit, even though he's not a fit today? How do you go about balancing fit and overall talent?
Yeah, I mean, I think that wiggle room, I think case by case is extremely, it's extremely important. And again, that starts with the relationship. So, if Coach McLaughlin's asking me, okay, like, how is the fit? Or if he's not 100% fit, where does he need to improve? Can he improve? And does something else he does outweigh that? And so because I put in my work, I've done, his 6 degrees of separation, AAU coach, high school coach, mom, dad, family, grandma, whoever it is, best friends, girlfriend, it don't matter.
So you do all the intel though. You do
you got to try to talk to everyone that you can and really get as much information as you can so you can make a good decision. Because if the fit isn't completely there, or let's just say the fit isn't as obvious, right? So there could be a fit in another way in terms of maybe this guy is an absolute bucket, right? He hasn't been put in the situation yet to really play a little bit more team basketball, but can he do it? Well, his history has shown maybe he can, maybe he can't, but it doesn't mean just because he hasn't been put in a situation, I'm going to punish him for that, right?
He can't,
so his talent, exactly. So his talent might outweigh it for a second, but again, there's little tells, how he prepares for games, how he talks to his teammates. A big one for me, honestly, is like, I love hanging out and doing home visits with him and the mom and the dad, but specifically the mom. Like, do you have a good relationship with your mom? You know what I mean? Because
says something,
as a
right?
coach, I do, and that's huge. Do you treat women the right way? Do you treat people the right way? I mean, I think that's just so big. So to get back to your point or to your question, fit is huge. It's not always the most obvious thing in the world. There's other ways to fit, especially class by class and team by team, year by year. But the overall overarching themes of our program have to be met. Could be met in your individual way, but they have to be met. And then what else are you bringing to the table? Is that good enough to where I feel confident as a coach, I can coach you on the other things? I think that's what's most important. So I think ultimately, man, be yourself. Again, be a good teammate, communicate as often as you can in the ways that you feel most comfortable, and have a winning mentality. You got that. That's a great place to start. We'll go from there.
In terms of that winning mentality, I think that's also something that kids, even in at the high school level, don't really grasp all the way, right? Like they feel like, oh, I'll just put up my numbers and I'm good to go. Whether it's at the high school they're at or whether it's at the AAU club that they're at.
Right.
And I've been I've been somebody to always kind of stress, like, man, like even in the AAU circuits, you need to be playing with, like, you need to be in the games, semi-final games, championship games, like, because I feel like for a coach, that's what you guys want to see, man. Do you know how to win?
Right.
You know what I mean? And then and I think you kind of hit on that in terms of the fit. So appreciate that, man. It's cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you don't mind, I want to jump into some position wise. I know you talked about, some point guard play, some leadership quality, stuff like that. But as far as guard play, point guard play, it could be either guard spot. I know positions are sort of blending around these days. It's not as traditional as it used to be. But what are some things that you look for in your guard play?
I mean, at this level, man, it sounds basic, but you got to be able to dribble, pass, and shoot at a high level, right? So can you dribble? Can you handle pressure in the backcourt? Can you get us into a play or into a set while you're getting pressured? And to do that, you don't need 17 different moves. You don't need to do 5 ball handling and things like that. You know what I mean? Kind of what I've seen trainers do. And it doesn't mean that stuff won't help. And it doesn't mean that you're not, get prepared in whatever way that you see fit. But I'm not going to look at your video and see a kid who's doing 1 or 2 ball versus some kid who's doing all this crazy stuff and be like, oh, I want that guy. No, man, I want whoever can be most effective in games, right? So whatever's most comfortable for you and kind of your work. But so can you dribble at a high level? Can you dribble in the 3 levels across the 3 levels? So that's at the 3-point line. Can you get to the paint and make a play? And then at the rim, can you make a play with your ball handling and get guys can you look off, guys off the ball screens? Can you look off, help defenders? All that stuff is really, really important. Passing, again, we talked about it already, but our mentality on offense, you got to make a quick decision. So passing is so incredibly underrated. Kids do not work on it enough. It is shocking I've been to 3 different programs now, and I played a little bit as well myself. It is shocking how little people work on their ability to pass. Because you come off a ball screen and you just want to hit the lift, and you, as coaches, I expect you to be able to do that, and the ball sails. I'm like, yo, and then you do it over and over and over again. I'm like, wow, this guy really can't pass, right? So can you make passes on time, on target to your teammates? We all know shooters percentages go way down. I'm talking like 20-25% of the pass isn't on time, on target. And then of course, can you shoot? And we don't need everyone to be a driller, right? But it can get extremely difficult if, especially at this level with the high level scouts, big time coaches on the other sidelines, executing great game plans. If you can't shoot, you're a liability, right? You have to make the defense respect you at least a little bit, right? So can you do that at a high enough level where they respect you? You're on the scouting report as a guy who can knock down a shot, because I can tell you right now, going into scouts, some player might hit 5 shots over his last 5 games, and I'm still like, okay, he's a pick and pop 4. We got to respect that. I have to take time out of my scout and take time in prepping my guys on your ability to shoot, even though you haven't made a whole lot, even though you might be averaging 5 or 6 points a game, that dynamic still changes the game. I love a scout when I run into a guy who can't shoot. I'm like, great. I don't need to spend any time. We're going to play off you. I'm good. So can you dribble, pass, and shoot at a high level, specifically from the guard spot? From the wings, how dynamic can you be? Can you guard multiple positions? Can you do all of those things? Maybe not as high level as a guard, but can you do them and continue to improve your skill as your career kind of goes, right? It's not to say that guards tap out earlier, but I will say that young wings, especially guys coming from high school, maybe are still growing. Maybe they're growing into their bodies. So I don't expect you to be a world beater right away, but I expect you to play defense. I expect you to want to learn, want to grow. And can you guard multiple positions? I think that's huge. And then from our center position, our power forward
from the
position,
forwards,
toughness.
Okay.
Obviously, can you do all those things? That'd be great. That's awesome. If you could dribble, pass, or shoot, you're talking about elite level bigs. If you could do all that, we don't expect you to be able to do all that right away. But do you play hard? Are you tough? Do you get hit and you keep getting back up? You know what I mean? Do you value the basketball when it goes up in terms of rebounding, in terms of, getting good shots for you, setting good screens, sacrifice plays? I feel like that's an underrated part for forwards and centers. Are you making sacrifice plays? Because you physically do not have the ball in your hands as much as guards and wings. So if you don't have the ball in your hands, you're not just a stiff out there, you got to be doing other things. So are you making sacrifice plays? That's really big for us.
In terms of also going back to your guards, what's the importance on them rebounding?
I like it.
Like, you know what I mean? I mean, I feel like, especially now, man, I feel like rebounding for guards, like it's almost a cheat code, because like you're not really ever boxed out. I just always be somebody like, man, ain't nobody gonna box me out. I'm gonna try to get some rebounds. You know what I mean?
Right.
What are you guys what are you guys' mindset on that for your guards?
Love that, man. Big guards are the thing. It's a new wave, man. It doesn't mean just if you're a little bit smaller that you can't play at this level. But let's be real. If you're a little bit smaller these days, you got to really show. So you got to be elite at one of those other things, like elite. And usually it's more than one, right? So and that's okay. That's what life is. And we got smaller guards in our team that are doing big things. But if you're a big guard, man, 2 things. That means you could post up, which we like, especially in our offense, and it means that you get rebounds, especially defensive rebounds, because a guard that can get a defensive rebound means that you're saving about a second to a second and a half
to start the break
down the court.
Right.
So you can go ahead and start your break. The big man can go ahead and rim run, or in the case of us, we like going 5 out, so he can spot up. And now all of a sudden you're extremely, dangerous. I see you got the Mie's jersey right there in the back. So when I was here last, my first time at Dartmouth as a coach, one of the biggest things, I had the Yale scout, one of the biggest things that Mie kicked my butt on was his ability to rebound. So he was averaging like 7-8 rebounds a game, and it completely changed what Yale did when he got a rebound, right? He got a rebound. So now he's pushing. So now you got 2 high-level skilled guards who can shoot running the wings. You got their pick and pop 4. hit into the slot, and then you got your 5-man rim running. And Mia was such a good basketball player, not just from a scoring standpoint, but a playmaking standpoint. I think that's what kind of made his leap to the next level. So he was able to rebound and completely change their transition. I mean, it was almost game over to an extent, you know.
It was tough.
I just kind of hoped he made mistakes. Both of our games, he didn't really make mistakes. He was such a good player. So yeah, if you can rebound at the guard spot or at the wing spot and start that break, man, that is a huge advantage, huge bonus.
I want to dive back into sort of that topic of lacking in a specific physical attribute, whether maybe a guy's not super fast, maybe like you said, maybe he's not 6'5", you know, as far as the height for a guard, maybe he's not above the rim. I mean, you yourself are not, you know, was not,
right.
You weren't a 6. I mean, same with Jeremy. You guys were both not 6'5" guards, but
right.
ended up succeeding at a very high level, Division I level, both became professional overseas. So you obviously made it work. And, you know, you had brought up that you already have a couple, but as far as just in general, things almost at any position that a guy who's kind of lacking physically in some way, you still see guys that are able to make it up in other ways.
No doubt. I think the most important, or two really important things, is again, is the toughness, and especially for me as I recruit guys. I pride myself on being tough, especially at a 6'1" guard at this level and professionally. But you know, I think again, you got to really think the game, right? Because more times than not, the ball is going to be in your hand. So can you think 1, 2, 3 steps ahead? And that's when you have the ball, and even when you don't have the ball, can you lead your guys? Can you get them into the right spots? And that's defensively too. Do you get what we're doing defensively? Do you know when to call out a trap? Do you know your rotations? Can you be in a rotation and also, as you're getting to your rotation, tell someone else you got next, right? That part of the game is lacking, you know, sometimes at the high school level. And that's, you know, and that's no fault of theirs, man. Like there's only so much you can give a 14 to 18-year-old. So I'm not really worried about that. But again, do I see the potential? If I do, then we can talk, man. Like I challenge you to find an undersized, quote unquote, undersized guard at this level who doesn't think the game. And you can tell those dudes just by watching them. You could tell that they're thinking the game.
And super tough, to be honest, on the other point, and super tough.
And super tough. 100%.
Yes. Yeah. But go
100%.
on. I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go on.
No. And I just think that's the reality. That's what it is. So you got to be elite at one of those things we talked about, or you really, really think the game. If you can do that, I don't care how tall you can play. You can play. Doesn't matter.
I think guys need to hear
That's
that.
awesome.
I think that's awesome because guys obsess about their height, obviously, because the game, because height is an advantage in basketball.
Same way, man.
But I also feel like the advantage is, right, I mean, if you're going to be smaller at any position, the advantage is always just playing bigger than what you are, and it's a mindset, right? Like it's at the, you know, you may not even be this guy. You're not even big like this, but if I think I'm bigger than you, you know what I mean? If I think I'm bigger than everybody, that's how I'm gonna play. So it's a mindset for sure to be a part of.
No doubt. And I think that goes to toughness too, man, because I love that saying, like, you know, playing bigger than what you are, but also you are what you are. So I don't need you to play bigger. I need you to play tough. I need you to play as tough as who you are inside. So if you're a little bit smaller and you're not tough, well, that's going to be exposed. You know what I'm saying? So it's a combination of both. You're saying the same thing. But yeah, you got to play a little bit outside yourself and do some extra things to really get noticed, especially at the high school level. And again, it's life, brother. Like that's kind of what it is, you know.
Make it work, man. Make it work.
100%. Have that chip on your shoulder. Work for it. So
on the topic of work ethic, families, high school players, high school families have all different definitions of what high level work ethic is. There are some players that do their school practice, go hard as hell on that, get their schoolwork done, and feel like they got an A in their work ethic grade. And then there are guys that are waking up at 5 a.m. and staying up till 10, getting up shots. Now their life may afford them to be able to do that. I mean, obviously there's a million different circumstances going on in everyone's life. But when you're talking to high school prospects, when you're kind of fishing around to learn about their work ethic,
Right.
What are things you like to hear? What are you hoping to hear when you're inquiring about a player's work ethic?
One of our biggest slogans, one of our biggest sayings is work hard, work smart, work tough and together. We added the tough there in the recent years. So you should just be work hard, work smart, work together. And I think work, especially as you see guys on social media and they put in their work. First of all, you got to work hard, right? And so what I want to hear is, just are you getting up extra shots? Are you doing different things that again improve upon your weaknesses as well as continue to build your strengths? Like you shoot the ball, great, and you got that way because you shoot 500, 1,000 shots a day. That's great, okay. But how's your ability to read a ball screen? How's your ability off the bounce? How's your ability to move your feet? Like, are you working on those things too? And you're working hard on them, even harder, because you're not as good. You're not as good in those areas. That's what I want to see. The biggest one for me personally is just working smart. So not everyone needs to wake up at 5 a.m. Not everyone needs to stay in the gym till 10. Are you working on the right things, not only to help your current team, because that's the most important part is winning together as a team, but then are you finding creative ways to add to your bag as well? I don't want you to be a robot out there either. I want you to get your skill level up so you can do some good things and help better serve the team, right? And basketball is fun, and it's really fun when you get to work on your own craft. So I get that. Like I want to be all for that. And then the last thing for me again is kind of like work together. You don't have to be this lone wolf that again wakes up at 5 a.m. and maybe you got the shooting gun and you get led into the gym and it's just you all the time. Bring a teammate. Bring someone with you, lift someone up with you. You know what I mean? Watch film with 2 or 3 other guys, like do it together. Cause not only are you getting them better, but you're getting yourself better. It's an exchange of ideas, and then you're working on that leadership as well. And you might not even realize it. You might not even know it. So those 3 things are, kind of what we pride ourselves on. And no matter where I go and coach, I'm taking those 3. That's a Coach McLaughlin thing. And I'm stealing that thing, wherever I go, wherever I end up, because that's just so important. And that's,
you believe in it.
I embody that.
And I mean, and I think you just hit on, that was my next question for you. Do you believe that part of your work, right, should be film study? I feel like that's an aspect of the quote unquote right training, my work ethic that it's almost like not even thought about. Like I think people come in like, how do you know what you're really supposed to get better on if you're not actually looking at where you're struggling at within your offense, right? Within your whatever school you're at, high school, collegiate level. Like, can you speak a little bit about the study of film and what players should be looking for when they're looking at film? Because I think people do, you do watch film, but what do you watch? You watch this mates, right? You watching that movie you just did, right? What should these kids be looking at, Coach, when they're watching some film?
And most high school guys are only watching film when their high school coach is making them. With the whole
forced.
team and making them. Right. But go on.
When they all have access now to huddle. So they all got access.
Right. No, I think, man, when a player tells me that, when a recruit tells me that, or a high school coach or an AAU coach tells me that this guy loves film, that definitely, the antenna goes up a little bit. I think film is an underrated part of being a successful college basketball player. Not from a coach's standpoint. We know how important it is, but I think these players, some of these guys that we get, or some of these stories I'm hearing, is that they get to this level and they had no idea that this much film work goes into,
part of it.
It's part of the game. It's part of what we do as a team. So your head starts spinning a little bit when you get to this level and you have no background whatsoever in film. I don't expect you to have the acumen of our seniors and juniors when you come in here. That's unrealistic. And that's a pretty high level, elite level guy, usually like coaches' sons, and even them, it's not even like that level. So, But I do expect you to understand what you're watching. And so, Jeremy, to go back to one of your points, you're watching yourself, but you're watching how you function and operate in what we're trying to do as a whole. Right. Yeah. If you want to watch yourself film a workout and get your mechanics right on your shot, get your pound dribbles right, get your footwork right, I'm cool with that. Absolutely. But when you're watching team film, it's not about, okay, let me just fast forward to the part where I dunked on someone and let me fast forward to the part where I hit 3 threes in a row. Like what about that ball screen read? Yep. What about that help rotation? Like, why weren't you there? Why, okay, what are you seeing? And if a guy can spit back to me what his mistake was, or at least ask the question, then I know that we have something to build on, right? But if a kid doesn't have any idea how to watch film, again, something that we could teach them, but you are placed so highly above the rest of the group if you have a little bit of experience doing that. So film is
That's
huge,
awesome.
man. And the true basketball nerds love it anyway, man.
Yep.
I mean, it's fun to study the game, man. So
we appreciate that answer, man. That's big time.
Yeah, it is. And I think guys need to hear that too. I do. The fact that most guys, I mean, probably 2% of players are really watching real film on their own at the high school level. So it's but that means it's wide open for guys to take advantage of that. That means it's untapped. Everyone's working on their 3-dribble combo moves right now in the step back 3. So but not everybody is on that freeway of studying film, and I do think that freeway is wide open right now for
especially if you want to get better. I mean, that's, at the end of the day, like, okay, so you tell me that you want to get better. You love the process, you love the grind. Well, that's part of the grind. So how much do you want it?
Yes,
without a doubt. And I feel like it's also like, you go into the game, right? That's your test, and it's like win or loss, like lose or win, like you get done. It's like, all right, what was my grade after that test?
Right.
Like I can always improve. So
how do I study for the next one? How do I study for the next one?
If I had 2 turnovers off the pick and roll read, if I never watched that film, guess what I'm probably gonna do next game?
Same thing, man.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
absolutely.
So that's awesome.
Yeah, that's
that is one of the funnier things in the world, man. Like, especially at this level, like guys are shocked when they're making the same mistakes over and over again. I'm like, bro, how many times have you found me for film? Like, how many times have you asked me what you're doing wrong? You know what I mean? I don't expect you to do anything different if you haven't worked on it. Like, that's crazy that you think you're naturally that gifted to do that. Like, you know who those guys are? Those guys are Hall of Famers and dudes that making hundreds of millions. And I tell you what, those dudes love film more than anyone too at the same time. So let me tell you this: no one is like that. Not one person is like that.
No, because like you said, if you mess up on a math problem at a math test, and you don't go back and relearn what the hell you did wrong, you're going to make the same mistake on that next match.
That's insanity. Problem. Like, that's insanity that you think it's going to happen. So.
Right.
Yes, sir.
Guys get to Dartmouth, right? Or any Ivy League school, really. I mean, just to get in to an Ivy League school, you have to be really, really smart. You have to have your academics together. I mean, even if the bar drops 0.25% to get an athlete, and you still got to be a serious student to get into a Dartmouth. But there are still always a percentage of freshmen everywhere across all college basketball that struggle when they get to a college campus. And I'm wondering your opinion on guys in the Ivy League setting who, like I said, there's still a small percentage that struggle, even though they've been fine-tuned academically in high school to even make it there. Any advice on maybe a heads up on some freshmen who are hitting college campuses, whether it's an Ivy League situation or not, that maybe if they had a little heads up, a little preparation, might be able to avoid a pitfall or two that freshmen could generally hit when they get to a Dartmouth or a high academic school?
Biggest thing I could tell anyone out there in the high school level is time management. If you can get close to mastering time management or have a really good feel of time management when you go to college, it's going to make your life that much easier. Because I don't know if this is a popular opinion or not, but just kind of going back to my experiences and even the guys that I'm recruiting or have recruited in the past. In high school, man, you might be busier. Like, I think you're busier than you are when you get to college. Like, there's so many other things that you have to do, whether it's socially, in the classroom. You're talking, I mean, college, like you're taking 3, 4, 5 classes. Like, you could be taking 7, 8 classes in high school. It's crazy what they got to do in high school these days.
From 8 to 3, they're on, every day, whatever it is.
100%.
Yeah.
And then for the first 2-3 years of your high school career, you got to be driven everywhere. You know what I'm saying? Like, to practice, to gyms, you got to find gym availability. And then of course you want to keep up with the social. So again, you're always migrating, going to different spots, and high school can be tough. So if you can manage that from a time management standpoint, your sleep is important. How you eat is important. How you take care of yourself. When you get to college, you're just going to be better prepped. You're going to have a lot. It's interesting. You're going to have a lot more time to yourself, but it's going to be filled up, right? But you're going to have a lot more time to yourself. So how are you managing that time by yourself? You know, how responsible are you? How many, what voices are you listening to, right? Voices and choice is a big thing that we say. So when you're in college, you don't have mom and dad or uncle or cousin with you right there with you. So if you could handle that time management, at least get some reps of that in high school, then when you get to college, it'll be a lot easier. But yeah, freshman fall is tough, man. It always is. It's a big time adjustment. But, you know, you want to try to prepare yourself to the best of your ability, and then, you know, don't be afraid to ask for help. But time management, man, if you can nail that down, then you're going to be in a good spot.
I feel like especially when you come in as a freshman, you realize like you got that extra time, especially, you know, when you playing, you like, man, with the extra time, I'm trying to go to sleep.
Right.
I'm gonna take this nap.
Yep.
But then it comes back and gets you because you're like, man, I should have that assignment right there. I should have got that assignment out the way.
Yep.
So then I would have been up 2 hours, 3 hours after practice.
No doubt.
I could maybe got some extra shots in, but that's funny that you said that, because in high school you really are way busier.
Yeah.
In college you have stuff, but you have way more downtime in college.
Correct.
That, you know, hopefully you know how to manage the time and actually doing something in that time.
Yes.
Not do the video games and and all the, you know, don't BS the time, essentially, you know, because that's what college is.
100%.
Yeah, it seems like in high school, like you said, you could technically be busy both, but high school, it's sort of laid out for you. You're not choosing your schedule as much. It's sort of laid out for you. You just got to do it all. In college, you have your stuff you got to get done, and it's sort of up to you to decide, okay, I'm going to do this at 2, I'm going to do this at 4, I'm going to get this done at 8:30 so I can do this at 10.
A lot of accountability and way more distractions.
Yes.
You know
But that's a separator. Like you said, that's a separator as far as guys that are serious enough to make sure that they're making the right decisions and
no doubt
saving some instant gratifications for some of the long-term ones that they're really looking for.
Just real quick too, Jabari, if you don't mind, man, can you just talk about the importance? I mean, you just talked about all that. I guess you just talk about the importance of asking for help, man, at a collegiate level, freshman, or even a high school kid, man. Like, you just talk about from asking for help for academics, basketball, like just in general, just asking for help, man.
Mental state of mind, mental problem. You know,
just don't feel like you got to just go through the recruiting process or the mentor. You know, like, talk a little bit about that for us, please.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, I tell our guys all the time. I mean, I'm 32 years old, and you know, when the first time I was here, I was 28 years old. So I was a little bit closer to them in age, but I tell them all the time, like, most staffs in this country, whether they played or not, have been, if you can believe it, guys, they've been your age. You know what I mean? And like, we are adults. We have to make adult decisions, but we also can definitely put ourselves in your shoes and understand some of the decisions that you're making or the situations that you're in. You know what I mean? And again, that comes back to the relationship piece. So hopefully you have a great enough relationship with us where you feel comfortable asking and talking to us. But we're just like older, more adult looking level kids, to be honest with you, especially with basketball, because basketball brings out the innocence in you, and you know what I'm saying, the fun. I'm shooting with the guys and doing all that stuff. So we're on your team, you know what I mean? We're on your side, and we've been in your shoes. So when you ask for help, when you ask for advice on things, you shouldn't be embarrassed about it. We're here, we're resources for you. There is zero shame in that. And it's funny, man, like some of these guys talk to us like we're 70 years old. Like, bro, we can joke. We're joking with you too. I understand why you made that decision. It wasn't the right decision, but I'm with you. I've been there. Like, you know what I mean? So you don't have to talk to us like we're your parents. You know, we are your mentors. You know, we will correct you when we need to correct you. And you better come correct as well. But we're on your side. You know what I mean? Like, everyone here is trying to help you. And that's the great thing about Dartmouth specifically. No one here is trying to see you fail. Not one person. For an Ivy League school, it's pretty incredible how non-competitive it is.
That's awesome.
Everyone wants to build you up. They want you to do your best. And I'm sure other schools in our league are like that, but I can see how other schools can be extremely competitive as well.
From student to student, with each other. And that has a totally different vibe to it. Different vibe. Yeah.
Nah, man, you only need to compete in between the lines, on the court, on the ice, on the field. outside of that, man, it's a lot of group and teamwork. So the more open you are to that, the more open you are to asking for help and helping those who ask you, it's going to make your experience a lot easier, a lot better.
That's awesome. That's a great question, Jeremy. Yeah, I like that. I'm glad. Yeah, appreciate you, Jabari, going off on that a minute, because I do think, guys, it's a stigma, especially with guys, especially with men, that we're supposed to take it all on the chin and just keep it going and not ask for help because it's a sign of weakness. But that's some BS, man. We're all human. We've all gone through it. We're all going to keep going through it, and having each other is everything. And
to be honest, like, these times are actually more unique to these kids, man. I give them a lot of credit because we never went through anything like this. What's going on, man, with COVID and the pandemic, and from a global scale, even, to a national scale, even to their own neighborhoods and everything. So it's pretty unreal what some of these players have had to go through. And I feel for the guys in college. I really feel for some of the high school classes that are getting really affected by this. The recruitment's getting affected by this. And it's hard. It's really, really hard. So whenever I know you two are on top of it, but always check in with your guys and make sure they're good from a mental health standpoint. That's something that we do on a weekly basis here. And, from an outsider's perspective, from a young mind, maybe an immature mind, it's like, oh God, why are we doing this again? But if they really sit down and think why we're doing it, why we're checking in with them, I think they understand. And like I said, kids spell love TIME, and that's really, really important these days, man. Because I even know I've been burnt out. I've been exhausted by this, waking up every day and not knowing what to expect, not knowing if we're going to play a game, if I have to prepare this scout, if I have to talk to this kid about, hey man, I know now you got to isolate for 10 days. I might have to isolate. It's just
it's crazy,
unique to anything that we've ever experienced before. So everything I just said on top of COVID, yeah, man, ask for help, talk to us. Again, relationship piece is so big. And if you're not going to talk about it, that's fine. I'm going to beat down your door and we're going to talk, we're going to talk about it.
I'm gonna pull it out of you. Yeah,
that's my job. So
you had brought up parents, and that's kind of where I want to move to. I know we're getting close to game time. I really appreciate all this time you're taking with us. Man.
Absolutely.
I really do. All different type of parents. I don't really got to go into detail on that. Obviously, there's all over the different spectrum as far as personalities, how they act, the level of involvement. Obviously I'm not trying to put you on a spot. I don't want you to piss off any parents that you're close with. But if you were kind of creating the perfect high school parents, you know what I'm saying? Like if you had a kid you were mentoring on the other side of the country and you were completely tied into him succeeding, what would you be hoping his parents did, how they acted, how they responded and treated his recruitment? Like, what are the perfect high school parents to you?
I respect the parents that are active, that are involved, but not too involved. I think there's a lot of parents out there that are doing, and I'm not gonna make huge overarching, overwhelming comments, how they raise their kids however they want to raise their kids. But I do think that you could be doing them a disservice, especially in the recruiting process, if you're too much of a helicopter parent, right? You're too heavily involved. If I'm talking to you more than I'm talking to your son, that's probably not a good look in terms of he might not be interested in us, or I'm not coaching. He might be interested in us, but I'm not coaching you at the next level. I'm coaching him. So I need to get to know him. I need him to answer those questions, not you. But at the same time, I'm not telling you to completely back off either, because I love to see, whether it is parents or whoever their guardian is, I love to see that they're supported, right? Because there are going to be things that they're never going to talk to me about. But it's good to know that they have some type of support system so that they can go back and talk to them. I can be that support system if there are things that they're not comfortable talking to their parents with. They want to come to me. And also, like, if I really need to, I can go talk to them as well, right? There's this whole misconception that at the college level, coaches, no relationships with parents. No, man, like I got to know them as much as I got to know your kid, a little bit in the process.
Right.
We won't talk about playing time, but we'll talk about everything else. We'll talk about life. We'll talk about I'll give you updates if you want it, things like that. We're just not talking about playing time. So I just think there's a healthy balance in there. And there's a big gray area. And so there's going to be some people on this end of the gray area spectrum and some people on this end. And we acknowledge that. But the ones that are like way over here in the black or non-existent in the white, that those bring up some signs where we're like, okay,
not ideal.
We might have to do a little more, intel, get a little more intel.
Do you notice parents' behavior in the stands when you're watching play? I mean, obviously you might not be able to know exactly whose parent is who, but you've also been doing this for a long time too. So it's
right.
You got a nose for that too. Do you ever notice a parent's behavior in the stands?
There's been time over the years, I've been doing this my 7th year now, where I have had conversations with guys on staff and or head coaches about specific parents, and it hurts them. It hurts the kid, and I feel bad, but at the end of the day, they are coming from that household. They are coming from
package deal, man. It's a package deal.
Yeah. So it's important. It's important to note we want it to be one of the least important things, but it still is important to note. So again, I'm telling you, man, some of these parents don't understand some of the service that they're doing their kids in the recruiting process. And some of them, it comes from a place of love, and I appreciate that. But there's, just better ways to do it. And if they have questions, ask us, you know what I mean? Like ask us how, where in the process they can help their kid. And then at the end of the day, it's part of the learning and growing up process for them. You got to let them go a little bit too. Right. Because like I said, at the end of the day, we don't coach the parents, we coach the kids. So there is, it's a big gray area. You can definitely find yourself in it. Don't catch yourself on the end of the spectrum. So that's not where you want to be.
Is there any final advice? And we can even wrap it up with this, man. Again, I really appreciate your time, man, coming on here. I do think that
absolutely
players, families are going to love this, man. They really are. They're going to absorb this. And yeah, it is. It is trying to improve the overall basketball world, my man. So guys can really get to where they're good enough to go and not have something stupid get in the way of where they should be. But do you have any final advice for players, parents? Obviously you yourself were successful navigating your own recruiting journey. You've been now doing this, like you said, 7 years plus, and advising, helping guys through their individual recruiting journeys. Any final advice on how to help guys reach their dream?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things, but I think as long as you have a love for the game, continue to love the process, be addicted to work, and really love the game. Like you're going to get, you're going to get out of it what you put in. And basketball is tough, man. It's a great game, but it also it could be hard on you too, mentally, physically, of course. And I talked about it. As a Division I college basketball player, it's going to be this. Your relationship with basketball is going to be this. You spend any amount of long time with anything, and it's going to be this. You know what I mean? You know, your partners in life, your parents, your family, your wife, girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever it is. There's going to be that. But if you truly love the process, it's going to be worth it. So you don't necessarily have to answer that question in high school. You really don't. But you need to start to put yourself in a position to answer that question. By the time you get to college, it's a job up here, man. It's a job at this level. So if you don't love it, you really aren't going to have a good time. And it doesn't mean you love everything about it, but there's got to be some facet of the game that you love.
And it being a job, people say that a lot. It's a job at the college level, but meaning what exactly? I mean, again, I know the answer,
commitment. Time commitment. Yeah, not in terms of like a 9 to 5 that you're just, man, this is boring and all that stuff. I just mean time commitment. It is literally a job.
And even accountability. I feel like accountability is right there with it, right? Yeah.
Correct. Working in a group, working in a team, having a supervisor, having someone right below that supervisor and your team captain that you report to. I mean, it's literally a job, and especially in that time commitment. So if you don't love it or love some facet of it, then it's going to be hard for you. And parents, if your job is to help foster that love. And maybe it's not basketball. You know what I mean? Like maybe they suffered a heartbreak with their girlfriend or boyfriend and you're supposed to be there. Maybe they love playing an instrument. You're supposed to be there and you're supposed to try to help them, give them the tools to foster whatever love that they may be. We're specifically talking about basketball. So if that's the right way, educate yourself on the process. You don't need to take a swan dive into the process with them, but you need to ride along with them. So when they trip or they fall, you can lift them right back up and they're good to go. And they're learning things on their own time and energy. So help them foster that love. And kids, man, just, fall in love with the process if you can.
That's awesome.
Yeah, man. That is awesome, Coach. I so much appreciate you, my man. So much appreciate you taking some time out of your day and hopping on here to help out the culture.
Oh, that's easy. That's easy.
It's
man.
Yeah, man. We're rooting for you, man. We know you're getting Dartmouth headed in the right direction. Anything we could do to help, you already know we're there.
Yep.
And you let us know when you're out here recruiting again. And so
no doubt.
Yeah, I can give you another hug again, man. But I appreciate you coming out here.
I appreciate you guys for having me on. And Jeremy, you're a good testament to what you, Mike, and Ike and all those guys, kind of going through the BTI program or going through good grassroots basketball in Southern California. True testament to that. And I appreciate it. You guys letting me be on here and keep doing your thing. I mean, I'm still learning so much. I know you guys are still learning so much. And there's one thing that's very clear in our conversations, that you love the game and you love the process. That's really big for me. So I'm automatically attracted to those and gravitating towards those who share the same love and passion. So keep fostering that. And this is a very creative way to do that and give back. And you already know I'm jumping on board when I see something like that. So
appreciate you so much, Coach, man. Appreciate you so much.
All right.
Good luck this weekend.
Appreciate it.
Go get him. I'm not going to say your opponent in case I end up pissing off the coach from another school, man. But
it's
good
all
luck,
good.
man.
It's all love.
Go get that dub this Saturday.
But I know who you're rooting for, so we good.
Oh yeah. I got green on underneath here, man. Don't worry, man. Don't worry, Jake. Don't worry, my man.
I need that.
All right, man. Have a great rest of your day. Great rest of your week, and you'll be hearing from us soon.